Hi everyone, respected sir, and everyone watching this video. Today I'll be doing a country analysis of Australia using the McCann's framework of country analysis. I'll be exploring how historical, political, and economical factors have shaped Australia's prosperity, where it stands today, and its future outlooks. This presentation will focus on three key areas: how historical, political, and economical factors have shaped its prosperity, where Australia stands today in terms of economic and political stability, and lastly, future trends, challenges, and potential growth pathways. Quick facts on Australia. Australia is a resource rich country in the southern hemisphere with a population of around 26 million. It has a strong service-based economy and is one of the world's most stable democracies. Now I'll be beginning with the historical context. Australia's economic history began with British colonization in 1788. Initially, it has an extractive economic model focusing on natural resources. Australia's vast landscape are rich in natural resources such as coal, iron ore, gold, and natural gas, which has been pivotal in driving economic growth. As an island continent, Australia's proximity to Asia Pacific markets has made international trade a cornerstone for its economic strategy. Politically, Australia developed strong democratic institutions early, leading to a stable business environment. It also ranks low in corruption, as seen in Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index, reinforcing its reputation as a well-governed nation. The CPI ranks 180 countries and territories by their perceived level of public sector corruption, according to experts and business people. Using a scale of 0, highly corrupted, to 100, very clean, the 2024 report shows Australia increasing its score by 2 from 2023, with the current score of 77 out of 100. Australia is ranked as the 10th country to have the lowest corruption in the world. Varieties of capitalism. Australia is classified as a liberal market economy. LMEs like the United States and UK rely on market-driven growth, flexible labor market, and a strong private sector. This LME structure has shaped Australia's economy, making it resilient and adaptable. In contrast, coordinated market economies like Germany have high government intervention and strong worker protection. Controlled economies like China rely on state-led planning and economic control. As I said in the previous slide, here is a comparison between the three market economies. In my example, I selected Australia as the liberal market economy, Germany as the coordinated market economy, and China as the controlled economy. The key features which differentiate these market economic models are the labor market, business coordination, innovation system, and the welfare model. A LME has a flexible labor market which is market driven, whereas a CME has a regulated labor market and a controlled economy has a state controlled employment. As for business coordination, LMEs have competitive individual firms, whereas a CME has government backed corporations and a controlled economy has a state-owned enterprise. For innovation systems, LMEs have private R&D venture capital, CMEs have public-private R&D coordination, and controlled economies have a government-driven R&D. Lastly, for welfare model, LMEs have a means-tested social security, CMEs have a strong social safety net, and a controlled economy has a state-provided benefit. Now, how did Australia become an LME? Here in this slide, I have the historical shift of Australia to an LME. Australia's transition to an LME was reinforced in the 1980s under the Hawke-Keating reforms, firstly with trade liberalization and then privatization of government entities and deregulation. Now, here are the key features of Australia's LME. Deregulated labor market with minimum wage setting agreements. Second, stock market driven corporate governance favoring shareholder value. And third, entrepreneurial innovation focus rather than government coordinated research. Now, what does Australia follow, the rule of law or the rule of man? Australia operates under a strong rule of law, ensuring property right, contractual enforcement, and judicial independence. What are the benefits of following rule of law? Now, there were many benefits, but I selected these four. Firstly, justice. The rule of law establishes a social contract between the state and the people. It also helps to curb corruption and abuse of power. 2. Accountability. The rule of law holds governments accountable for their actions. Third, economic growth. Research shows that countries with strong rule of law have higher economic growth. And lastly, education. People are more educated in countries with stronger rule of law. Does Australia have an inclusive or extractive institution? Most of the institutions are inclusive with democratic governance, property rights, and free enterprise. However, there are still some extractive elements remaining, which are indigenous economic disadvantages and rising wealth inequality. Historical political market shift. Australia's economy has gone through major shifts. Pre-1900s was dominated by agriculture and mining. Post-World War II, immigration fueled infrastructure and workforce expansion. 1980s to 2000s, economic liberalization, free trade, and privatization strengthened the economy. During the 2008 global financial crisis, Australia avoided recession due to strong demand for its resources from China. And now, as of recent, Australia has shifted towards service, tech, and renewable energy. These shifts show how political decisions influence market forces over time. This chart depicts the GDP growth rate over time. GDP growth rate has remained steady over the years, driven by resource exports and a strong service sector. Income inequality, as shown by the Gini index, has increased slightly over time. These trends provide a historical perspective on Australia's economic strength and challenges. Now, I'll be moving on to the present context. Economic policies and their impact. Australia's economic policies have played a major role in shaping its current standing. Free trade agreements with China, the United States, and Asian nations have boosted exports. Corporate tax policies encourage business investments but are being debated due to the declining mining revenue. There is a gradual shift from a resource-driven economy to a tech and service-driven one. Australia's shift to a higher skilled service-based economy. According to the National Skills Commission, the largest growth in professional jobs over the past 20 years was as a registered nurse, accountant, and software and application programmer. Trade. Major exports and trade partners. Australia's economy is heavily trade dependent. Its top exports include iron ore, coal, LNG, and education. China is its largest trading partner, followed by the United States, Japan, and India. Trade balance of Australia. As you can see, Australia has always been in a trade surplus over the past years. As of 2023, the trade value exported was $374 billion, whereas the trade value imported was $282 billion. This graph depicts the top 5 exports of Australia, goods and services. As you can see, education is in the top 5 exports of Australia with $51 billion as of 2023, and this shows that Australia is moving from a resource-based economy to a service-based economy. This diagram shows the trade partners of Australia. On the top are the exports and in the bottom are the imports. As you can see, the top country that Australia trades is with China. As for the continent, Asia is the topmost, followed by Europe and then North America. Population and education. Australia's demographic trends have long-term economic implication. It has an aging population, increasing pressure on social services. Migration policies have maintained a skilled workforce, and the universities attract many international students contributing to the economy. This is the population pyramid of Australia. As you can see, it has a high aging population which increases the dependency group. Nevertheless, as of current situation, the migration policies help maintain a skilled workforce and fill the gap. According to the Rostov's growth model, Australia is in stage 5, high mass consumption, and it is indicated by a high GDP per capita, a dominant service sector, and advanced infrastructures supporting a high standard of living. Here are some of the present key economic indicators. GDP growth remains strong despite global uncertainties. Unemployment rate have fluctuated but remained relatively low in recent years. Now, I'll be moving on with the future trends and pathway of Australia. Looking ahead, Australia faces several key challenges. First, the shift to green energy as coal uses decline. Number 2, geopolitical risks, particularly the US-China trade tension. And third, aging population, which will require more government spending on healthcare and pension. Australia's energy mix shift. As you can see in the report published by the Clean Energy Council of Australia, the renewable energy provided 39.4% of Australia's electricity generation in 2023, an increase of 3.5% from 2022. Wind energy has generated the highest electricity from the renewable sources, whereas black coal, with a whopping 39.3%, remains the dominant energy provider for non-renewable sources. Future economic pathway. Australia's future economic direction will depend on 1. Achieving its net zero emissions target by 2050. 2. Strengthening digital and AI-driven industries. 3. Expanding trade relations with Asia and India. Australia's investment to net zero transition. As you can see in the report published by Clean Energy Council Australia, the cumulative investment by the states of Australia is on an increasing trend from the past 7 years, which shows Australia's drive towards achieving its sustainable and climate goals, cementing the country's shift towards green energy. Conclusion. In the past, Australia was a resource-based economy. Nevertheless, right now, Australia is evolving to become a service-based economy. It remains strong but faces economic uncertainties, and in the future, the country must focus on sustainability and tech innovations. Final takeaway: to sustain a long term prosperity, Australia must embrace innovation, sustainability, and global trade partnership. Thank you for listening. These are the list of references that I used while developing my presentation. And I'll also link them to the description box below. Thank you.